Check your WhatsApp already. Good morning, good morning. Welcome everybody. Another wonderful Thursday morning here in Gauteng, and we've got Evert Botha, who's our guest speaker today, and he's actually speaking all the way from George in the Western Cape. So welcome to you, Evert. We've also got Russell here, and we've got Glenn, and we've got Wilhelm, and I believe Mona is going to be joining us shortly. So what I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about what we do at Vision 2025. What we do is the first Thursday of the month, we have a networking session. The second Thursday, we have a innovative South African business person who's made a success of himself in the industry, which today is the event, which we've got Evert Botha, where he's gone from racing all the way through to now cleaning solar panels on huge retail and commercial buildings. And then we have, on the third Thursday, we have innovative solutions, where we look at new products or services that are available in South Africa. And then we go on the last month, or the last Thursday of the month, we look at business acumen, how to be smarter in business. So welcome to the show, enjoy it, and sit back and relax while we go through. I'm going to ask, let's start with Glenn. Glenn, would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, David. And once again, such a pleasure being in the show. I know Evert well and haven't seen him for a long time. So we definitely need to do a coffee date. Even if it's down in George, we'll make a plan. We'll make a plan. Absolutely. Great. I'm Glenn Jones, mentorist coaching. I love just helping people in terms of their lives, personal lives, as well as their business. And I often call myself a personal locksmith. And the reason why is because I believe that every single person on this planet has incredible, amazing potential. And I help unlock that potential and help them step into destiny. And that's me. Looking forward to the show today. Go for it, Evert. Thanks, David.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Welcome to the show. Let's go to Russell. Russell, would you like to introduce yourself?
Morning, everyone. Thank you, David. And as Glenn said, I think he speaks on all of us. It's always a privilege to be part of this Thursday morning setup that you have, David. So yeah, Russell John Fagan. I specialize in sales. I do a sales masterclass where I teach people how to sell. I'm not one of the believers that would pronounce that salesmen are born. I think salesmen are created through their experiences. And if they have been enlightened on what to look out for and how to read people in the sales aspect, most people can learn how to sell. It's a matter of understanding the dynamics of sales, understanding the psychology of sales, and understanding who your avatar or your client is, and distinguishing and identifying what that client looks like so that you know who to sell to. I wear a couple of hats, but that's for this platform is the one I'd like to just mention. Thank you, David.
Great, Russell. Great. Thank you for being here and being part of the program. Wilhelm, please introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, David, and thank you for this opportunity to be here again. And it's nice to see you, Evert, and I can't wait to hear your story. Well, what I do, I help individuals and teams to unlock their full potential by improving their quality of life, master stress, and build stronger human connections. I use tools like brain dominance and communication style profiles. I guide people to understand themselves and others better so they can thrive in both life and work. Whether it's a high-performing executive, a struggling team, or a burnt-out entrepreneur, I help them reconnect with purpose, increase energy, and align strengths to achieve lasting success. It's not just about performance, it's about creating a life and culture worth living for. That's what I do.
It sounds excellent, Wilhelm. I need you. Let's go to Mana. Welcome, Mana. Thanks for joining us. Mana, over to you.
Yes,
Please
good morning.
introduce
Yeah, good morning. I'm Marna from a company called Enscorp Insurance Brokers. So we do short-term insurance, which means we take care of your assets. So we insure your assets, which whether it's your vehicle, your business, your truck, the goods on the truck, whether you import or export, we will be there to take care of your assets. And yes, Evert, welcome this morning. I am really looking forward to listen to your story today.
Thank you, Marna.
Thank you, Mano. Great to have you here. All right, a little bit just about myself. My name is Evert Botha. I'm your host for Vision 2025. We started Vision 2025 actually a year and a half ago, exactly. And the whole idea there was to actually give back to society and let other business people and other entrepreneurs, startups, etc., to learn from people who have done it. And that's why we're here, and that's what we're trying to do. So welcome to the show, and great to have you here. My business, I've got a few, but the one that I'm pointing today is the One eSIM. So if you want global connectivity all around the world, One eSIM is the way to go. It's a very simple process. You log in, get a QR code, and then you have a WhatsApp. We don't have any applications. We just have a WhatsApp message, and then you basically use that, and you can buy data anywhere you go at the local rates in that country. So it's really a fantastic system. But enough about me. Let us talk about Evert. Now, Evert, I met Evert about 5 years ago, approximately, through the CEO Business Club. And we basically both are MOC, which is the Miracles of Capital alumni. We've done that course, and so has Wilhelm and Mana. And we met there, and we've actually done quite substantial work together. But my interest in Evert is about how he actually started the Blue Sky cleaning process that he did, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that story shortly. But another thing I didn't know about him was that he was a racing car driver. I didn't know this. And I was so excited when I heard this. I said, but this is amazing. And he's been doing it for 14 years. So we're going to find out all about that shortly. So, Evert, welcome to the show. I'm going to pass you on to Amana, who's going to ask you some questions. And then we're going to go around the room and ask questions relevant to each person's expertise here. And that's what the whole process is about. So, Mana, you're going to ask a little bit about from Evert about his past and about racing, hopefully. Over to you, Mana. Mana, you're muted.
Okay, am I back?
Yes, you're back. Go for it.
Okay, looks like I'm always delving in the past. I'm sorry. So that you started in mechanical engineering, and at the same time, we're passionate about historic, fast-paced world of motorsport. What role did racing play in shaping your mindset and discipline today?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that question in a long time. And when I actually realized that it's part of my history, I needed to delve a bit deeper and realize that motor racing was actually a hobby for me. I needed a hobby to find relaxation out of the corporate world. And, you know, it's a huge cost. Motor racing is not cheap, and you need to commit to it. Once you start, you can't stop. And the lessons that I learned from it was absolute forgiveness. I needed to learn how to forgive myself. When you make a mistake on a track, you need to forgive yourself before the next corner, before the next gear change, before the next braking exercise, because if you dwell on the past, you don't get to be the fastest. You can rather afterwards look back at your mistakes and try and improve on that on the next race. But you have to have personal forgiveness, absolutely. And obviously preparation. We need to prepare, we need to make sure that everything that you touch and own is in peak performance, absolute perfect condition to make sure that everything runs together so that you can get the results that you aim for. And competition is harsh. But what I very much enjoyed about my racing in the historic racing, which means I only drive cars that's older than 40 years, because the cars are not allowed to be younger than 1977. Those were the rules about 5 or 10 years ago. And then you start realizing old cars are more risky. They don't have all the fancy features. They are more prone to break down. So there's a lot of things that I learned from there. But the thing that I enjoyed the most was the people that raced along with me had a lot of respect for each other, had a lot of respect for each other's equipment. They did not need to, push you off the road to win. They did not need to cheat or anything like that. We were all in the racing for enjoyment, and that was a great experience. But yeah,
I can just see how that camaraderie could have prepared you for life that was still going to happen. I've always also noticed that you've worked across industries like telecoms, banking, and manufacturing. What did these environments teach you about business?
I was blessed to be exposed to all these different industries in a consulting role, looking at service management, how each of these areas sort of approach the service that they want to provide. Everybody had the similar mottos: to look after the customer, to give them the best service, to support them, and just be there for them. And every industry is a different specialized area, but when it comes to people, it's all the same.
Yes.
You need to be honorable, you need to be honest, you need to be trustworthy. All those nice words is still exactly the same. And we don't service a product or a company. We service people. We actually provide a service to people. And when you talk about whether it's for the petroleum industry or banking, financial industry, or doesn't matter where, people are the company. It's not the product, and it's not the buildings and the systems. The people still need to make them work. And if you look after the people, you still can be the best.
That is very true. It goes back to the basic principle of people do business with people always. It doesn't matter what technical advances there are, AI. I still find that my clients want to see me. So that is amazing. So tell me a little bit about your time at Vodacom Business. How did that help you in growing into an entrepreneur?
You want the honest answer or you want the popular answer?
Let's go with the middle line between the two.
Look, you learn a lot, and you learn how to handle scale. That is what corporates are good at, is managing the scale of volume. And when you start specializing, and that's where the corporate world sort of reduces some of the excitement in becoming entrepreneur, is that you don't have the full view. You are so focused in your role or your function that you have to perform. If you step back to look at the whole view, you need to involve 3, 4, 5, 20 other people to understand the whole value chain, to understand all the roles, to see the whole machine. And being at Vodacom Business was a huge blessing in finding out how do you support 100,000 subscribers or people and clients. How do you support 300 products? How do you make sure the optimum support is there with 300 to 400 people that support the products, because you've got specialists in each product range. You can't have cross-pollination between those things ever, because you're a specialist, and being a specialist in the area reduces your interest in other areas, because you hone in so much on your time and your understanding and your personal research to find out, how does this work? How can I improve my productivity? And how do I improve the customer satisfaction? And unfortunately, if that's not appreciated, you lose interest, and you
Yes,
start
true.
finding, your satisfaction elsewhere, whether it's a hobby or a sport or whatever. You start pulling back and not giving your best in that arena, but on your personal life, because ultimately you're the most important person. You're the guy that's going to live for the rest of your life with you. And if you start building up regrets or a world where you're actually not happy, you're going to sort of struggle to knuckle down and take the beast by the horns.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember when I made my transition from corporate to being a business owner, it was quite a transition, because when you are working for a corporate company, you've got somebody who does the marketing, you've got somebody who does the accounting, you've got somebody who does reception, taking calls, taking messages, and that transition from working at a corporate company to becoming owning your own company. How did you deal with that? That making that transition.
well, the first step to transitioning to an entrepreneur is obviously humble. You get really humbled by basic tasks, because you've got to do everything. All of a sudden, you say, "Oh, I've got this idea," and then you put it on paper, which is first of all not as easy as you think, obviously. And then from paper, you need to find a practical way to implement it. And then you realize, but I'm spending 2 weeks on this advertising or promotion or price list or whatever. And then you start feeling rather slow, because, I mean, this was so easy in the corporate world. You just send an email to somebody to do it, and within, all right, 2 months you get it back, but you forget about it because you're not involved there. But when you do it yourself, you're always in a hurry, because you want to. I'm a very task driven person. And if I think of something, I try and do it immediately, because I also don't have the best of memories. As soon as your little to-do list grow more than 2 items, I forget the number 3. And you start just doing the first 2 things on your list. And usually they are wake up, have coffee. So number 3, you go, "Oh, what did I have to do again?" So and the humble beginning is actually a good part, because that's building the stronger foundation. And a strong foundation is so important. And I only realize that once you've laid the foundation and you look back, you don't realize you're busy digging the foundation and putting in the necessary reinforcement and the material that you have to base your decisions on later. Once you've got that, you can actually speed up. So from marketing, sales, employing people, getting equipment, and getting equipment is not an easy task. Equipment gets quite challenging to make a decision which ones to get. You don't have a research team, and you can't trust all the reviews that you get, because half the reviews are people that actually work for the company or sell the product. And you've got to do your own research, and that costs money, it costs time, it costs a lot of patience, and you've got to rebuild your trust, because trust is something that you rely on and give you confidence in your product and your service. I had to make decisions. Am I going for cheap and cheerful or expensive and lasting? And unfortunately, those words don't always go together as well as I think, because expensive can also not last. and cheap can sometimes last. It depends on how well you look after them and how much you use them. So we've gained so much experience and insight into our decisions, but we managed to make good decisions in a absolute guided manner from Father to give us the options what to choose from. Even vehicles, it's a long-term decision that you make. It's not just quick for a year or so, but yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's like I've learned very soon when I started that you have to learn from your mistakes. The mistakes becomes more than just a mistake. It's something that you need to learn from. So over to
Absolutely.
you. I don't know who's next. Thanks,
No,
David.
Marina, that's where the motor racing and supported me. I have to forgive myself for the mistakes, and you have to sort of realize that the next decision that you're going to make might even be a big mistake.
But just talking about forgiveness, I think forgiving yourself is maybe one of the hardest things that you would ever do in your life is self-forgiveness. Well done on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marna. Wow, great questions there. So I'm next, and well, I'm going to talk a little bit about, you know, how did you actually come into being in solar? I mean, it's so far apart from, you know, what you did at Vodacom and at the banking and IT and so on. And I mean, I know your story, but I'd love you just to give us a brief overview of how did you start? And I believe it started over COVID. Evert, so maybe just enlighten the audience of how you actually came about to do this whole solar cleaning and what you do now.
Absolutely, David. Thank you for that question, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs start a business because of need, because of they find an issue that they want to address. And it was about in 2021 that I installed a solar solution on my house. And obviously it became quite popular because of Eskom's neglect, and we couldn't rely on the supply of electricity to our homes. And it causes so much discomfort and just a lot of issues, whether it's cooking, bathing, washing, anything that's homebound is a challenge. And obviously solar 5 years ago is not as cheap as it is today. Solar 5 years ago was a huge investment. It was the price of a car. And when you buy a car, you know, you look after it. You take it for services, and you clean it, and you drive it carefully. Same with solar. It's a huge investment on my house. And I was actually a little bit over fanatic because I'm inquisitive and very prone to finding out, how does this thing work? How can I optimally use it? How can I make sure that my system works very well? And I want to just flash back briefly to my racing, in the sense that I used to race a very small car, 1967 911, and it only had a little 2.8 liter engine in it. But I raced against much larger, faster Porsches, which was 3.2, 3.4, 3.6, up to 4 liter engines. And then as the years gone by, I upgraded and I started racing against big guns, the Galaxies, the Can-Ams, the Cobras, which were 5 to 7 liter V8 engines. And I still had my same racing car. And it was a huge challenge to be the underdog and try and stick up with him. And that's my motto. I'm trying to get the best out of what I've got. And often I will beat the guys with much more, because I'm pretty much determined to find out, how do I get the best out of this? So the solar system that I installed was obviously not the biggest. I installed what I could have. It was like a small 5 kilowatt system. And then later on, I realized that I needed to upgrade it a bit, put more panels. And then you learn how to mix panels, and you add another inverter, and eventually you got a system that took you off the grid. So for the last 3-4 years about, my house electricity cost less than about $100 a month. Because on my small little system, I could manage everything. My air conditioning, underfloor heating, geysers, cooking, stove, everything. Because it was just due to planning and staggering these things on the right way. I even had the opportunity to run 2 electric cars on my system. But one thing that I actually realized is that I needed to keep the system in an optimal case so that it keeps on pushing the power that I expect from it. And from that little 10 kilowatt system, I got everything. But I cleaned that system every week. And I realized, but weekly is a little bit overkilling it, because I can see the dust gathering quite fast. And then I realized, but I clean it, but I don't clean it correctly. And then I started figuring out how to improve that, how to clean it as well as possible. And that's a lesson for another day. But what I wanted to do was share my findings with my neighbors, with other people that spend hundreds of thousands of rands on their solar system. And you want to actually assist them to make it last. You can't replace that system every 3 or 5 or 10 years. You're trying to get the maximum out of it. And the salesperson usually says, no, this will last 15, 20 years easily. But the only way you can make it last is if you service it. It's like the garage guys, they convince you, bring back your car so that we can service it and look after it before you have expensive repairs. My advice is exactly the same. Once you have a solar system, let's make sure that it's serviced, well looked after. And while you're on the roof, you inspect everything. You inspect the clamps and the brackets and the woodwork and the leaks on the roof and the everything, skylights, geysers. And you bring that report back to the customer to say, listen, we're not the best guys to do your roof ceiling, but I'm reporting it to you so that you know that there's a problem. And everybody appreciates that, and they do it and fix it as they can afford and when it's suitable for them. And I started visiting customers or friends and neighbors in the vicinity to tell them, listen, how often do you clean your panels? He said, no, I don't. And I said, well, let's do a test. I'll come and do it for you. And I'll even check out your inverter specifications and what your productivity is. And on a week-to-week basis, I visited them and shown them the difference that it makes. And I've taught them how to stagger their load. In other words, don't do the washing and the geyser and the showering and the cooking at the same time. Rather start scheduling it apart and even change the days that you do certain things. And it brought them a lot of insight and they appreciate it. And I'm telling you, it saved them thousands. It might not save you 1,000 in the first month on your utility bill, but within 6 months or a year, it builds up. And you can easily save 12 to 16,000 Rand a year on your electricity bill by just keeping it clean, making sure your inverters are optimal. Like everything that I have is I'm trying to make sure that it's optimal. From race cars, lawnmower, wheelbarrow, you call it. If it's got wheels, it needs maintenance. If it's got solar, it needs maintenance.
Fantastic. I must say, it's a fantastic story. But now the question that I have is, from helping other people and your neighbors, how did you go from there to actually now cleaning massive commercial centers, shopping centers, head offices where they've got hundreds of solar panels? Obviously there's a difference between cleaning, say, 6 panels to cleaning,
Absolutely.
1,000 panels or 500 panels that are on some of these massive buildings.
Yeah, sorry, I cut myself off before I got to that part, in the sense that when I started doing it for people, I realized that I'm enjoying it. I think that's the best part about this. I'm enjoying it. I'm actually appreciative of the manners that I find to improve, even if it's just residential. We sit in situations where the residential homes has become an easy target. And I decided to start Blue Sky Solar Services to provide a solar service to customers. And it was absolute direction from our Lord Savior to bring me into that business and to get me prepared, because little did I know that my end at the corporate world was imminent and soon to be ended. So I had to start early and get this going. And I'm blessed with a wonderful son, Bram, that is my operations manager, that while I was running in the office and doing work, Bram was running around on roofs and getting people serviced and making sure that their systems are running well. And eventually, you think you're the best guy and you're promoting and you're advertising and you're putting your name out there and you think you're doing a great sales pitch and so on. But we're not in control of so many of the customers' decisions. I branded my vehicles. It was a tough decision. It was expensive. And I had to purchase a large vehicle that was branded with Blue Sky, as you can see at the back. And I have customers that jogged past my house and they saw my vehicle. You can't believe this. And this guy is still a customer of mine. And he is just fantastic and supportive. And we're doing a huge volume of solar panels for them in such a way that when it gives you confidence to approach a bigger client. And we're busy in the market promoting, and we've serviced so many clients where you get a once-off and then it grows into the next and the next and the next. So we probably servicing over 200,000 panels a year at the moment, which is a quarter of the target that I need to reach, which is quite a lot, because this is a volume game. This is a scale game. It's not something that you can get rich on doing a few. You need to build up your foundation, and I think that was, I don't believe in luck. I believe in blessings, and I was absolutely blessed to have this person jog past my house, and he had a need. And I see so many people approach us in parking lots, in shopping center, where your vehicle is parked in the shopping center, and they don't realize you're on the roof of that shopping center. They just see the vehicle in the parking lot, and they take the number, and they call us, or they stumble upon your web page, or ask a friend, and a friend refers you to this guy that knows how to clean panels and is very caring about it. So eventually, we're doing a number of corporate organizations, and we do countrywide. And the stepwise has been huge, because you can't get on the roof with a little brush and a bucket of water. You need to specialize. Our brooms are very specialized, and these days we talk about robotics, which I rightfully call a remote control. It's not a robot. It doesn't do anything for itself. You've got to remote control it. And the technology is vast to assist you in doing these volumes. So yeah, David, I think it was absolutely just an opportunity that rose, and we were prepared, unknowingly made good decisions, being in the right space, being in the right area, because to some extent it's obedience. Once you listen to your heart, following some guidelines, you are prepared for the opportunity that comes. There's a part in the Bible that says when hard times hit you, you must actually pin your tent pins wider and deeper for the storm to come, so that you're ready and not get washed away or blown away. And that's what we do when it's quiet times. We prepare.
That's amazing, and I love your story. Thanks for sharing that with us. I'm going to hand over to Russell. We've got another 25 minutes, so guys, keep your questions short. And Russell, I'm going to hand over to you. Russell's going to be talking about the sales and the people side of growing your business. Thank you very much, Evert. Over to Russell.
Evert, you've already answered quite a few of the questions I have here. I think so. I'm going to just do a recap. Okay, Evert, is it just me that's lost Evert, or have we all lost Evert?
I think Evert will join us shortly.
Yeah.
Continue, and we'll carry on.
All right. So, if I listen to what he's saying, one of my first questions was obviously the strategy that he would to build and maintain, traction. As in, I'm a keen racing enthusiast. I grew up in that type of environment, so I study everything, and I study the teams on F1 and so on. And one of the big things is momentum. And obviously, my question would have been, what is the strategy that's driving his momentum? But I think I've already understood that. And if I have to just summarize it for myself, I suppose, the strategy that he's using is definitely focusing on people's needs and outcomes. So that's one of the big things in sales that we do is I don't teach people how to sell a product. I teach people how to sell an outcome. And I think that is what he's done. What I did enjoy was that he said that he would go, he's back, that he would go to the clients and actually show them the improvement. So that was answered. That question was answered. My next question to him was the difference between a nice to have and the essential, and that is discussed as well. The fact that you are optimizing the system that's on your roof, that you spend so much money by keeping it clean and keeping it serviceable. For me, when Evert said it's like a motor vehicle that needs to go to the dealership for a service, that is the type of service that he's bringing to the solar. So he answered that question. It's very, very important that it's not a nice to have, but it's essential need so that you can optimize your service. What I do want to touch on is job creation. So how important is that for you? You mentioned, and that's what leads me to actually go and want to focus on the question, is that any business, and that's something that I preach myself, any business, it's not a building, it's not a product, it's not a brand, although all of those are part of it. It's the people that you employ who are your extension. It's like an octopus. Every person you employ is just another extension, another arm. How do you utilize that, and how do you find the right people?
Yeah, that was a mouthful, Russell. Thanks. Sorry, I lost signal just completely. You guys cut off there from the planet.
All good. All good.
Russell, one of the biggest challenges that every organization and every business has is finding good people. And good people are everywhere. And even good people are not always suitable for your business, which is an important realization that I had. I find good people, I always joke and I say, when I meet somebody, especially youngsters that want to come and work for me, if you've got the basics covers and you understand asseblief and dankie and askies, I like you already. The rest I can teach you. I can teach you how to manage a broom, how to climb a ladder, how to be careful on the roof, and how to absolutely take care of other people's property. But I can't teach you the basics that you need to get from home. I don't have the incline to do that. And good people are everywhere. And I've had a wonderful number of people that came to work for me, but they're just not suitable for it. There's very few people that really have the stamina, the incline, and the determination to stand on a roof for 8 hours in the sun with a water spraying broom to clean solar panels. If you do a house, you're up and down the ladder, you're in and out the car. It is a tough job, and you need to be technically inclined. You need to be patient and friendly and kind to my clients, and obviously also to my vehicles and my equipment.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people try and hang out, and they hang in there for a month or 2 or 3, and then they just stop coming. They don't even resign. They just stop coming. And unfortunately, those are the people that we approach, and we give opportunities. Every
Yeah.
site that we work, we actually give locals, the people that work in the vicinity, a chance to come and work with us. Come and see what we do. We coach them, we train them, we pay them. And next time we get there, we want to work with them because we already spent the time, bringing them up and getting them going.
Yeah.
And I'm often hoping that those guys now become entrepreneurs and they say, oh, I like this. This is something that I can do. I've learned a lot. I need to use clean water. I need to use a soft brush. Let me go and do it myself. And it's fantastic. Go and do it yourself. Take the guts and do the opportunity and go and service your local area. When we come back, you're more experienced and you can do it for us and you can grow that way. And it happens in so many areas where we work with the same guys that come back and we show them more and they're excited to do it. But unfortunately, we also sit in a situation where 50% of them just don't return. They don't pitch up. So I think we're getting the people exposure to what they can do and what how it should be done right. And it's up to them to take it further. We can't force them. We don't want to be harsh and say you've got to be a, because it's that thing about people. We love punctuality. We love reliability. We love friendliness. And it makes the work so much pleasurable. So there's so many people that can do this work. They just need to be encouraged and given the confidence and be warned not to damage the industry. Unfortunately, that's also a huge risk that we work with.
I think one of the key elements that you would be looking for is integrity, because there's, like you say, a lot of good people, but if they don't have that element, it can't work in the service industry, like you say. Just for time's sake, I'm just going to quickly take one more question if I can. And this is just one. I would like you to identify just one element and just give us a little bit of insight on that. Your business is service focused, it's people focused, and so on. And I like the wording of the question being that it's relationship driven in the context of the motor vehicle that you will be racing. So when you're on the racetrack, there's a relationship between you and the vehicle. I like what Michael Schumacher used to say, is that if I don't feel the car, I can't race the car. And I think that is in business, we should have that same mentality. But for you, what is the one element that you really use that is your go-to or your default about relationship with your clients?
Guidance from above.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
it. I can't
Perfect.
claim any. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Answered. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Russell. It was great questions. Thanks, Evert. Let's go now to Glenn. Glenn's going to ask you about the future, mapping out the road ahead. Glenn's a Map for Life coach, and that's what his expertise is. So he's the right person to ask you the questions regarding that. Over to you, Glenn.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. Evert, I love your heart, attitude, and just the values that come out are just absolutely fascinating to me. Love that as well. So yeah, congratulations on that. As far as mapping out is concerned, you step in a boardroom, you hear the CEO stand up and he'll say, "Let's map the way forward," and that's what it's about for me. So what is your long-term vision for Blue Sky Solar Services?
Our long-term vision is to become the high-volume solar cleaning company that South Africa requires, which means that we need to find employment for the people that don't have skills, that don't have the blessing of having a father, of not having guidance for them. And we enfold them with love and opportunity and absolute training to make sure that they know the risks, they know the ropes, And with a little bit of guidance and a bit of training, we know that youngsters tend to become overconfident. But I think that is academic training. When you do practical training, people actually start knowing their limits. They start knowing the boundaries of their knowledge because they experience it. They don't just read it in a book and say, now I know this. When you're on the roof and the confidence overwhelms you to say, now I'm going to do this, 2 hours into the job, you are humbled. You realize that this job is not as easy as it looked.
Yeah.
And I've got many clients as well that are students of ours because they pay for a clean and then they stand back and they watch us. And then when we want to do the next clean, they say, no, it's okay, I've got this. I'm going to do it myself. It's easy. Yeah.
And they realize, they realize the truth. No, absolutely. I've been on roofs myself. It's not easy.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's easy once, but yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. You know, many entrepreneurs actually begin with a clear, structured plan. How do you plan your growth, and from a personal perspective and professionally?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because you often sit in a situation where it hardly feels like growth. You go through a serious pruning exercise first before there's a little sprout. And unfortunately, the pruning period that you go through is not a pleasure. You have to be able to look back and appreciate it, and then you appreciate the little green sprouts and the opportunities that come your way much more. So you have to learn what you can do without. And we've been through that and made sure that we don't just grow as a company in volumes, we also need to grow personally. And I must, with pride, say that my son has bloomed and he's become the absolute manager and coordinator, and he sorts out all the problems that the operational guys and the technical guys may experience. He just smoothens the road for them. So you get on the roof and you do your task. He sorts out the petrol and the water and the filter and the traveling and the food, because sometimes you're for 2-3 weeks on the road and you need somebody like that. And he's now training the guys as new team leaders to become confident enough and enjoy it. Not just, here's your job and do it. You have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, so
it's got to be
I'm still enjoying it. The growth
Wonderful.
is inspiring.
Wonderful. That is awesome. And especially in your son as well. That's really amazing. Okay. If you had to look 5 years ahead, I often do this, say to people, look ahead and then step back, and see that vision. So if you had to go 5 years ahead, what would that success look like for you? And I prefer to use the word significance, not necessarily success. What would that look like for you?
Well, the significance would be to prevent the challenges that's going to hit us very hard, which means that we know that everything on this planet degrades and deteriorates and gets destroyed. Nothing is forever. But obviously, with the resources that's handed to us, we need to make it last and do it purposefully as long as possible. And solar panels, unfortunately, is in that classification that every 6 months or a year you want to buy new ones. They're better, they're bigger, they're fancier, they're shinier, they produce more. But the guys, the old panels, sort of leaning towards it, but it's still expensive. So my significant idea is to have all the clients that I have make sure that their solar plants outlast them, outlast their buildings, or outlast their expectations, or outlast, their warranty. So it's a question of getting enough volume, getting enough people convinced that this is actually working, and building relationships with them, because having a relationships with them is also, for me, an important part to make sure that I grow. I grow because I learn from these people, and it's just a pleasure working with people that you have a relationship with, not just a client that walks in, walks out, and you don't talk to them. So yeah, it's actually quite interesting how it fans out, because we don't just deal with the person that pays us in the corporate world. We engage with the person that runs their security, their facilities, their cleaning on their sites. And we take time to get to know them and build relationships there. And yeah, they enjoy it.
Fantastic. That is excellent. Okay. In fact, you've almost answered my next question. That is really how you actually ensure that you stay aligned with your goals, which is pretty much what you're talking about now. It's having that relationship with so many different people besides just the CEO of a company or corporate or just the owner of the house, and building that relationship further and taking it just to a different step and a different level. As far as this evolving energy industry that we're in, for example, the solar panels, do you actually then recommend that they actually change the panels in the future and upgrade, or how do you actually go about doing that? Or is it just about cleaning them?
Well, no, absolutely not. It's a whole inspection. It's a whole service. So the service entails visual inspection, thermal inspection, checking the wiring, the trunking, all the important things, the inverters. We clean their filters because they all have fans and ventilation. That's important. If that clogs up, it actually shortens their lifespan. And battery systems, we just try and keep it clean and tidy. We also make recommendations because we find quite a lot of panels on roofs that's damaged because of debris that fell on them. We find from bricks, stones, dead birds, bullets. You can't imagine the stuff that we find on the roofs that damage the panels. And we recommend and we pinpoint them for the customer to say, listen, you've got damage here and damage there. And if they have somebody that does that technical maintenance, they get them out and do it. And when we get there again and we find that it's still not repaired, we can make recommendations. We can offer a service because we build relationships with the installers to come and repair them. Absolutely. Upgrades is a tricky thing. We have in the past done many installations, but we refrain from that because we don't want to compete with installers.
Exactly.
We want to complement installers. We want to enhance their productivity by giving them a service and a maintenance option to do it for them so that they can focus on the installation part.
I'm with you. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Love what you're doing, Evert. Fantastic, man. Well done. Very impressed. David, back to you.
Glenn.
Wow, thanks. So thanks, Glenn. Great questions there. Let's now go to Wilhelm, who's going to be actually asking about how did Evert actually achieve what he's achieved over such a short period of time. And I'm talking specifically about the solar panels. Over to you, Wilhelm. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, David. Yes, to be last in line with the questions, there's nothing much that I can ask. But yes, there's some things that really interest me when you mention the fact that, you know, people are very important and how the role they play and how and the energy they take. Now, people always take lots of energy from you. And it's so important to have an energetic team, people that really move and that you can rely on. So how do you maintain the energy? You know, you mentioned the fact that when you start a business, it's about doing everything you need to do. But if I listen to your vision, you need people, you need a team to really support you, to take you there. So how, in the first place, do you maintain your own energy and make sure the people's energy is up to scratch to do the job that you want them to do?
Well, Adam, that's a good question. My first answer that I thought of when you started the question was, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I do know, and unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit contradicting to what you just mentioned. Yes, people do drain your energy. The wrong people drain your energy. The right people absolutely energizes me. I love people, and I even the wrong people that come my way, I don't allow them to drain me. I don't allow them to put me in a bad mood or in a bad situation. I really try and contain myself. The people that energize me are the ones that appreciate and enjoy the relationship that I have with them. Doesn't matter on what level, whether it's professional or just knowledge and engaging with people. And unfortunately, I can't be in enough places at the same time. And to build a relationship face to face, a coffee date, a chat here and there, a telephone call, that's what I do. And it's my responsibility to make sure that the people that I have a relationship with carry over that energy, or they refer to me as fondly, or the company as reliable with integrity. And that's tough enough. So my energy comes from other people that enjoy my company, and obviously my motivation and my drive comes from above. I had to try and dig a lot of energy out of myself, and then I realized it doesn't come from myself. I have to fight this thing and work on it in the spirit. You can't just physically do this all the time in yourself, because we don't have that ability. We have to realize where it comes from. So yeah, appreciate.
Yeah, I like what you say. It's all about filling your energy tanks and keep yourself, your strengths up, so that you will be able to send that energy out to other people as well. What? Just another last question, because I see time is running out. But what's your specific, maybe that two really work geniuses that you have, that strong points that you have, that you bring to the business, that make a huge difference? What do you think are those two special energies that you have?
I think the first thing that I do with when I meet new people is being friendly, and I'm trying to be, humor is a fantastic tool. You make people a little bit laugh and giggle, and you make just a silly comment here and there, but obviously on the sensitive side, and not trying to push a guy back. You want to draw him in rather. And obviously, once you've got his attention and you can build it, you spend a bit of time with him. So my energy and my relationships are people related, and I try and give my guys the best guidance, giving them advice on how they should handle a situation, whether it's in new people or people that's upset with them. And I promote forgiveness. I promote forgiveness constantly.
Thank you very much. There's always two sides of a coin. I must put in this last one. What's the thing that drains your energy the most? The one thing.
There's quite a few of them, unfortunately, and I think it's inconsideration. People that are inconsiderate, people that are rude, people that are arrogant. And yes, I always also say that the difference between confidence and arrogance is often in the person that watches you. The person that watches you with little confidence can easily classify you as arrogant. Luckily, I've got quite a bit of self-confidence. So when you're arrogant, you outlast me. You actually exceed my level of arrogance. But that's That's the ones.
Thank you very much, Evert, and thank you, David.
Wow,
Over to
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. It was so good. I must say my biggest takeaway from what you've just shared with us is to learn to forgive yourself before the next corner. That was just brilliant. Such a fantastic gem. Yeah, thanks, Evert. That was amazing. I'd like to just quickly go around the room and just find out what the biggest learning from each person was. Let's start with Mana. Mana, what was your biggest learning from what Evert shared with us? Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, and I have to find the unmute button again. I actually like the part where you were talking about it's not about luck. It's so true. It's about faith and preparation and showing up and be at the right place at the right time. There's often also something that helps. So yeah, nothing is about luck.
Fantastic, Mana. Thank you. Let's go to Russell. What was your biggest learning from what Evert shared with us?
I love the keep it optimal. I think that is probably one of the most important lessons that we can do in our business is keep our business optimal. Take it to the next level. So definitely that's my takeaway. Thank you, Evert. Enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, Russell. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn, what was your biggest takeaway?
Evert mentioned at one stage about making those incremental changes, that one small thing that can change, that you can do it better on a daily basis. And I talk about the aggregation of marginal gains, and I think that was, for me, quite effective. And the other issue was we spoke about the so-called pruning, the challenges we go through, and it's not pleasant. But it always reminds me of the Chinese bamboo tree. And we all know the story of the Chinese bamboo tree. And, did that tree grow in 5 years, or did it grow in the last 5 months? And so it's time and effort. It's a process. And that's what I see Evert has done over here. And I think it's fantastic. Well done, Evert. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Glenn. Wilhelm, what was your biggest takeaway from what Evert shared with us today?
Yeah, well, it's also that the optimization, cleaning the clutter that actually drain our energy, that prevent us to have a quality life or quality of life. Thank you for that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Evert, thank you very much for being
You're
here
welcome.
today on Vision 2025. You've shared a huge number of gems, and I must say I really appreciate that. And, just you being here and sharing your expertise and your experiences, just, given me a lot of motivation, identifying a need and then actually going forward and actually implementing and making something out of it. I think that's the biggest thing that we all need to learn from, and keep going at it. I mean, I've been with you on this journey for some time now, and I've just seen how you've grown from strength to strength. So well done for that. What is your biggest takeaway from this event today, Evert?
Well, I think it's taking you back into memory and making you appreciate where you come from, and actually appreciate the struggles that you've gone through was worthwhile. We are looking forward to our next big customer, our next big client, and working well with them. And Vision 2025 is an absolute platform that's going to help us with that, and getting people to understand and know that entrepreneurship is a journey. It is not a job. It is absolutely just getting the best out of yourself.
Wow, thank you so much. We will be back next Thursday, so thanks for the listeners. Thanks for coming. I see the number of comments. I'm going to ask Evert to maybe go through the comments afterwards and just share those with us. We've actually run over time. We try and finish by 9. It's 4 minutes past 9. So we'll be back next Thursday. We've got a very interesting person next week talking about innovative solutions. We will see in the posts, and next week we'll invite you again to the next event. And then the week thereafter, we've got a very interesting person from Malaysia who's going to be talking about the capital mechanism. That is Dr. Wong. And some of us have already attended his sessions here. Evert, myself, Mana, and Wilhelm have all attended those sessions. So that's going to be a fantastic opportunity to meet this gentleman. So thank you very much, Evert, once again. Thank you, Wilhelm, Glenn, Mana, and Russell, again for being here. Please stay on. I'm going to just play a little video. Watch that, and thank you very much for being here. Appreciate, and have a fantastic week to all you listeners, and appreciate. Take care, and Evert will contact each one of you in the comments and talk to you there. Thank you. Cheerio. Bye-bye. Have a nice week. Bye.